just us sitting here shooting the shit, talking, and yeah, it looks like we're live. So it's Wednesday. It's 7 o'clock. It is time for another edition of the Chronicles of Michael Talbot, the podcast. How is everybody doing? I am your host Jeff Royds. Joining me is Mr. Jason.
Hello, everybody. I'm doing good. How about yourself, man? You having fun?
Doing good. And over there, you may not recognize the new guy. That's Chris.
Howdy.
He's got the new facial hair going on. So if you
Only took 40 years to come in.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. It comes. Mine still won't come in. It's been 52 years, so it's just the way shit goes here. You know, it doesn't get any better. So, if you are joining us live on YouTube, say hi in the chat so we know who you are. Do you guys hear a banging when I move my anything like that?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to try not to touch my desk. I still don't have my setup done the right way from when I went away, just because I've been really frigging lazy. What's up, Third? Third is there in the YouTubes, in the chat. So I have the microphone boomed to the actual desk, so I'm going to try not to touch the actual desk because that's going to make it thud away. I've been slacking. I haven't really done anything with it, so, but... if you're listening to this and you're new to the podcast, thank you for joining us. We got a lot of new subscribers and likes to the Facebook page, and that's kind of where we do everything because it's just the way that's where the TUFO present is strongest, is on Facebook. But we're going to do this show. We're going to try to do it once a month, first Wednesday of every month, live on our YouTube page, and we are in our new feature of the show. If you listen to us for the first 2 years, and if you heard this all before, I apologize for repeating, but we do have some new people. We went over book by book. So as you listen to each book, there is an episode of the podcast discussing the book. It is either Jason, myself, or Chris. In the beginning, we kind of just had a free-for-all, and the show kind of found its flow around episode 5, and then we added new people, and then people came and gone, and then we added permanent hosts, and we are at the iteration that we are at now, and I think this works pretty well for everyone, and everyone seems to like it. So as far as for the near future, we are going to stick with that. And starting back in June, it was May that we're starting to do our character arc episodes. Not going to be as many. We're only going to do them once a month. We're going to live stream them on first Wednesday of the month on our YouTube page, and then they're just going to be podcasted on, it's available on YouTube as a video or on Spotify, Facebook podcasts, Amazon podcasts. I think that's it, because really there's no other place for podcasts. But first one we discussed was Tommy/Tomas, and today, guys, we need to talk about Gary, a.k.a. Gambo, Mike's brother. Now, the question I have here is, because I forget this because I haven't listened to these in so long and I'm a horrible host, is Gary Mike's older brother?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Mike's the baby of the family.
Yeah, baby. He was an oopsie baby by far. Like, nobody was expecting him. Like, they were done having kids for like more than a decade, and then Mike came along.
That's pretty much how every younger sibling came along. That's how we got my sister and a bunch of other people I don't know. So yeah,
baby, right here.
we call them in our generation the love child, because it was just a night of love and alcohol, probably, and passion. My mother decided to tell my sister how she was conceived, and my sister has never recovered. So she was a love child. So parents, if you do have one, don't tell the story like it's something romantic that you want to share and bond with your child, because kids don't want to hear about their parents doing it. It's just the way it is, okay? It's gross. It's disgusting. I'm an adult, and I don't want my kids knowing how they got here. So I don't even want to know how my kids got here for the most part. So there you go.
Well, it's that whole power outage thing,
I'm a birth control baby, so.
Ooh, you were really?
I was supposed to be here. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, damn! Chris's parents,
Yeah.
Chris's dad got some swimmers. So
Yeah, he
yeah,
does.
so Gary is Mike's older brother, and when Gary is only in the Zombie Fallout series, and we're going to get into some of the other characters and some of the other series, but I think right now because ZF25 is in the can and coming out shortly, and we're going to
Just a
talk
couple
about
weeks.
that. Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little later in the show toward the end. But Gary's only in the Zombie Fallout series, and Gary started out kind of like a nerd. He was an 80s child. He always kind of fashioned himself as one of these self-made, self-taught, a Rambo style thing, which is where the name Gambo came from. Gary, like Mike, was a military man, but as Mike likes to tease him, he was in the Air Force. Mike was a Marine. And if you know anything about the armed forces, they all fight together. They're all part of the same country fighting system, but there's the hierarchy. There's like siblings and everything like that. They all tease each other. So the Air Force is kind of and my wife is going to hate me for saying this term, the redheaded stepchild of the military. Next to the Coast Guard, it's pretty much, what they consider the lowest level. They do a great job. I am not negating them at all. I would not want to do what they do. But for the purposes of this series, Gary is in the Air Force, and Mike likes to tease him about that a lot. So Gary kind of started off as, I want to say, the inferior older brother that kind of didn't want to look up to his younger brother, because as the older sibling, you want to think that you're the role model for your younger siblings. But as we find out in the course of this series, we all know that Mike, being the baby, is the alpha in the family. We find that out with Gary. We find that out with Ron. We find that out with his sister. But Gary, throughout this series, continues to evolve a little bit. And his character arc goes from kind of nerdy.
I was going to say a goofball, yeah.
Yeah, goofy, to kind of a badass, whereby book 24, he's banging the doc. The hot doc, who plays for the other team. But because of lack of options in the apocalypse, Gary's the man. And Gary finds himself in a position where in the last book, in 24, he's fixing the main car to go get everything. Gary has continuously evolved throughout the series into the man that he is now. And I mean, personally, I would put Gary up against Eliza or Payne or any of them and think that he would come out on top. What do you guys feel like? I've been talking a lot. My voice is sore. I'm going to have a drink of water. Chris, you take it for a second. You got a lot to say. You know a lot.
It's funny you say that because I just hit book 23 today. So I'm chapter 4 in the book. Gary definitely has improved a lot, but I would still argue that he is still nerdy. He proves that when he talks about his M&M World pajamas. He's like, yeah, I'd love to go back to New York. Those are the most comfortable pair of pajamas I've ever had in my life.
Oh, I forgot about those when they got to New York and they hit the M&M
Yeah.
store. Which if you go to
He had no
Times
skin
Square,
and he was wearing the M&M pajamas.
there's one in Times Square and there's actually one in Las Vegas. It's just like 3 floors of all M&Ms, and it's kind of awesome. It's like Hershey World if you ever been down there in Pennsylvania. It's just everything M&Ms you could possibly think of, all in one 3-story thing. It's kind of cool. So yeah, Gary, which book? I forget which book that was. That's when they get involved with the military.
Yeah, I want to. It's the first book of Etna Station. I want to say is when they get sent out to collect Dewey.
Oh, that's right.
What is that?
It's
is
like
that 9? Maybe 10
or 9. Yeah, around there. And they go to New York. They get dropped into New York, and they're all. It's Gary's pants kind of. Gary gets hung up on something, doesn't he, with the parachute?
Yeah, so his parachute malfunctions when he lands, and he actually ends up getting dragged backwards, and it shreds most of his clothes. Except for, I believe his boots survived. So, at least he had shoes.
Military boots are tough. Yeah, so he ends up having, the only thing he can find is the M&M store that hasn't been ransacked totally.
Mhm.
And he finds a pair of M&M pants that they have. Actually, they have one in Disney Springs down in Orlando as well, but it's not as big. But yeah, Gary wants this set of pants. When they get to the next book and they got to go back to get Dewey, Gary's like, "Hey, can you get me a pair of M&M pants by the store? They were super comfortable." And Mike's like, "Are you effing kidding me?"
God.
Oh, it was awesome. Jason, what are your views on Gary?
Gary is, I thought he was a goofball at the beginning in that, because you have Ron, who's very serious, and then Gary's kind of goofy, and what was it? He hung out in the tree house, and he had his Walkman and his singing. Oh God, every place they go, him and his singing.
Playing his 80s music, which on my Burnt End Spotify page, there is a playlist of Gary songs from the books and music inspired, like zombie apocalypse style music. So there's a whole playlist out there on Spotify. If you look it up, I think it's called Gary's Zombie Apocalypse or Zombie Fallout playlist up there on the Spotify's. I'll share it to the Chronicles of Michael Talbot Facebook page for those of you that haven't had a chance to check it out. It's pretty good. I asked Mark a lot of the songs that would be on there are bands or whatever, so he kind of gave me some, and I go by what was kind of talked about in the books, songs that he's playing on his headphones in his Walkman. And if anybody has any suggestions or stuff that have listened to them recently and there's a song that isn't on there that should be, definitely drop me a line and let me know, because I will definitely put it on there. So
he went through. Mike was getting ready to go fight somebody. I don't remember who.
Was it Pharaohs?
No, it was.
It was in 23.
Yeah, and Gary started going through like the song listing, and he's like, "Oh, that was not much better. Oh, that's even worse. Oh my gosh, that is awful."
That's where I got the idea to put together the playlist, was from that, and it's like, oh God, I'm like, we got to keep going with this. There's got to be some really good zombie songs to have on this playlist. So, but yeah, Gary, Gary's gone from zero to hero, I think, in this series. He's kind of become the older brother, I think that Mike always wanted, but that Mike always needed, because the pressure always falls on Mike to be the main person. And I think if anybody could carry this team, if, God forbid something ever happens to Mike, and we don't know what's going to happen in 25, Gary could carry the torch, as well as BT, to take them into, to continue as the leader of this group. I think if anybody could. Am I alone with that?
I don't know.
Chris thinks differently. Tell me why. Prove me wrong.
I'm not saying he's not confident, but he doesn't have all the instincts that Mike has. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even think BT would do as good a job as Mike does.
No.
Because Mike he's so stubborn and hard-headed, and he gets something in his mind and he just goes through it and he pushes for it until he gets the outcome that he wants. And
Mike definitely has the horseshoe up his ass. And
definitely.
In one of the books,
when you're God's favorite.
That's right. He is God's favorite. In one of I think it's the Zombie Fallout series that BT just talks about Mike and divine intervention just always getting out of a jam no matter what. He could just get kind of thing that happens, and Mike always gets out of it.
It's happened more than once, but I remember one time when Mike was going off and cursing God, and BT's over in the corner going, "He doesn't mean that. He doesn't mean that." Just who Mike is. Mike doesn't care who you are. He's going to curse you out. He's going to tell you how you're doing wrong. And unfortunately, Gary doesn't. I don't think
he
Gary
doesn't have that. Yeah.
No, but I think Gary is starting to show some leadership skills.
Oh, absolutely. But
Hmm.
as far as like taking over and leading the group, no, I don't think he would want to either. Like
Mm,
Gary's a twin. It's something that he brings up several times
yeah.
throughout the book series. Is he oftentimes goes against the group just because he tries to set himself apart.
Mm,
Well, he's a
Oh,
surviving twin. His twin passed. You
yeah.
find
yes,
that out in the series. He talks about that. So it's kind of not that he absorbed the other, you know, I don't know too much about twins, but I've heard a lot about it that they kind of feel that survivor's guilt that they survived and their
yeah.
twin passed and is no longer with them. So it's they try to overcompensate and take on the role of both parties. And I
I
think
don't
Gary kind of has that personality where he's doing that.
I don't remember which book it is, but I know that Gary and Mike share a moment over Glenn's death. And
Hmm.
which case Gary talks about he knows the moment it happened because he could feel it. He could
Mm,
feel the lost connection. And then Mike shares that he can astral project, and there was one time he did it, and he heard and knew for a fact that Glenn was had passed away. So
yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, then there wasn't there the whole scene with him astral projecting to the house that they grew up in,
yep.
Yeah.
and their mother was there, and Gary was there leading her home or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't remember
Yeah.
which book that was, but I do remember that part. It's funny as you get
When there's
the
25, it's hard to
yeah.
yeah. There's so much going on. I mean, Gary really doesn't have he's a minor character in this whole
Mhm.
thing. There wasn't a lot that he does, but I think when he does do something, he's kind of the comic relief of the series.
absolutely.
When he
Mhm.
does stuff, he brings that lightheartedness to the zombie apocalypse that I think, you kind of need in a series like this because this series can get pretty friggin' heavy where
Yeah.
you gotta either you gotta put it down for a little bit or you gotta stop listening and you gotta hit pause for a minute and just be like, holy crap, and then boom, Gary shows up with something silly or he's singing some song or he's doing something that just kind of twists the mood right around and gets it back to that lightheartedness of the tale that Mark weaves in his stories.
I love the jabs, the sibling jabs that only can come from a sibling.
Yep.
Like I literally just listened to one earlier today. It was they were talking about something, they were doing something, and Gary just deadpans, look right at Mike, and goes, "I told mom she should have aborted you," and then
Yeah.
walks away. And BT looks at Mike. Is that true? I don't know.
It wasn't there.
Absolutely hilarious. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great because we don't have Ron anymore, and Ron was always the seriousness,
Mhm.
in the
Yep.
story. And Gary, even when they take they take Ron's trucks out, it takes his vehicles out, and it gets smashed, and Gary's like, I'm not, I didn't do it. I'm telling him you did it. Blah 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 blah. It's just that he plays the scared younger brother to throw. He's not afraid to throw Mike under the bus to his other sibling, which is
Yeah.
just because that's what having brothers is like. And I don't know what it's like with sisters. I mean, I have a younger sister and an older brother, but guys in general, just we can throw each other under the bus, say the most meanest shit to each other, have drop down brawls, but in the next breath be best friends because you're my brother, whether you're
Mhm.
related or not. And with Gary and Mike, I feel that they have that relationship that no matter what, they can say some mean crap to each other. But before Mike walks out the door, Gary walks out the door, something happens, they're wishing each other well. Or you can tell that emotion is there in the story that they're doing that with each other. So you always know that the other one, no matter what, has the other one's back.
Yeah.
And that's great about, you know, that's great thing about Gary and a great thing about Mike with them being brothers, and they're great with Gary's character arc in this series that he's evolved into kind of having the older brother role that he was, always meant to have finally because Mike doesn't have Ron anymore to be there. And Ron was always the stern one and the forceful one and this isn't going to work, you're not going to do this.
The
And
responsible one.
Mhm.
yeah, pretty much. And Gary's kind of become more responsible with some of his duties. He's become more of a military man in that aspect, but he still has that comic relief and that goofiness to him, which is awesome.
Well, I think he's also trying to fill the eldest brother role. Like he is the older brother at this point. Like
Yeah.
Ron isn't around anymore to fill that need. So
And it's just the three of them. It's just Mike, Gary, and I forget the sister's name. I want to say Lorraine, but I know that's not true.
No,
yeah, it's not Lorraine.
no.
Nicole's his daughter.
You're right. Oh my God. Third, do you know what Mike's sister's name is? We're all drawing blanks there. Help us out in the chat if you know what it is.
Lori? No.
Mrs. Tynes?
No, technically
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been that because she was married, remember?
Yeah, but then she married
Yeah,
BT, so it would be
Oh,
Mrs.
well,
Tynes.
yeah, after she married her, yeah, BT. But I'm talking about she was married before that, so.
Yeah. All right, we got two people in the chat watching this live right now. What is Mike's sister's name? Third's thinking. It's like you know it until somebody
Yeah.
asks you the question, which why I would suck on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Pause for effect.
Because Linda was BT's first wife.
Yep.
Correct.
Not Tracy. I can hear him yelling at her
Yeah.
and saying, I don't have any of the book. Do I have? Yeah, I got the first book to look it up, but I'm
Just
not going
not-
to take
just-
the time out to do it right now. It'll
Just
come
not
to us
BT's
in
cover.
a matter of minutes. But did you find it, Chris?
I Googled it. I haven't got to her yet.
You know what?
No.
Let's ask
Well, that-
Meta AI. See if she knows. She seems to be very smart in helping me out with a lot of stuff. That's actually where I get all the designs now. I hate using AI to do stuff, but I can't draw, and I don't know
Yeah.
anybody else that draws. And I've reached out and I've thrown this out into the ether several times on the show about who can draw, and they don't. So I have to ask Meta AI to create these things for me. So.
I'm on the Tufo-verse
In the
wiki.
Zombie Fallout series, what is Mike Talbot's sister's name?
Great question.
Great question. That's your answer?
Lindsay.
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 Oh,
Yeah.
Meta AI knows all.
We knew it started with an L.
All right,
We
here's
were
what
almost there.
here it is from Meta AI. Mike Talbot's sister's name is Lindsay. She's known for her questionable cooking skills, which becomes a point of contention within the Talbot family during the zombie apocalypse. Lindsay's cooking was complained about by everyone, none louder than Mike. But since his job was saving the world, he didn't have time to cook for himself. Their mom, Carol, ended up putting Lindsay in her place in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Damn. You know what? I'm gonna ask. This is sacrilegious, and I'm sorry, Mark. I know you hate AI, but we kind of have to. Who is Mike's brother Gary in the Zombie Fallout series?
Let's see. Gary is indeed a significant character, Mike's brother. He's portrayed as a bit of a wild card and can be pretty hot-headed at times. Gary's actions and decisions often lead to interesting conflicts and dynamics within the story.
Gary's a hothead.
What is Gary's favorite type of music?
Gary's into heavy metal music. That genre really speaks to his personality and attitude, especially during the intense moments in the Zombie Fallout series.
Yeah, it's very brief. She does okay.
I mean, it was 80s hair music that he did.
80s, it was considered heavy metal back then. So
Yeah.
So that's Gary in a nutshell. I mean, not a lot happens with Gary. I mean, he does get laid in the last book, which is awesome. We've discovered
Yeah, it
that
took
he
him long
hates
enough.
Harbor Freight tools. He doesn't like those at all. Which every time I drive past a Harbor Freight, I'm thinking to myself, crappy Chinese material that's probably a fortune now because of tariffs. And yeah, he loves Bon Jovi. He's up there in his little treehouse singing away, and he would do his little Rambo and Arnold impressions, and he just he did his thing.
I forgot about the microphone.
Yeah, what was it when Deneau rolls up and he starts doing the Arnold impression from the tree?
It was when Mike pulled up.
Or Mike pulled up,
Yeah, when they got back from getting the cure for BT
Yep.
and for Justin, and he's doing that Arnold impersonation.
Yeah.
And Mike's like, "Knock it off, Gary! I know it's you."
Gary is a great character. I think he's. I don't think this series would be the same without him, hands down, without a doubt. In my opinion,
No, it wouldn't be nearly as funny.
I think Mike would go off the rails. We would get a more unhinged Mike, because with the exception of Lindsay, and Lindsay's not out there fighting with Mike. There was that one little bit. Yeah, that they shared a moment, but she wasn't really fighting. But Gary is
she had to do that
Mike's
to kill off
last.
her husband. So
yeah, Gary is Mike's last. Oh, excuse me, male relative. I mean, you count BT. I mean, you have new relatives in the apocalypse, and BT's his brother, technically and physically, and literally a brother. But Gary's his blood, you know. And I think he took it hard when Ron didn't make it. And I think Gary kind of took over that role with Mike, which was great. So kudos to Gary / Gambo. And I love when he switches characters and he thinks he can go out there and be a badass and doesn't realize that he can't. You know,
Well,
it's great.
Gary was the one who had to go back and tell their dad that when Mike got burned up in the fire, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but the in like 4 or 5 when he went and found the house of Paul and burnt all the cats. So yeah, I think kind of that was the pinnacle for him. That's where his arc just really started to go from goofball to, oh shit, this is serious. You know, this is happening. We really need to, you know, I think that's where he stepped it up a little bit in the series and kind of became more of a, not a fighting force, but I'm kind of reaching for something to say. It just became a little less Gary and a little more Gambo, you know?
You know, talking about the Mike catching fire in the street, and you know, because that's when Trip comes in, right? I was thinking about it the one day. I was sitting here. I was thinking about the books and that, and I was thinking, how funny would it have been, like, you know, in that scene where Mike's on fire, but it's right out front of Trip's house, you know?
Yep.
So Trip running out there with marshmallows and, you know, and his little s'mores crap.
To roast on Mike's body. Oh, God, it would be horrible. But that's something a stoner would do. Trip's...
Mike was put out before he made it to the road. Like, he was put out in the backyard because Gary freaked out when he saw him engulfed in flames and put him out.
I thought he was still in the street, though. I thought he was in the street when he got caught on fire, because he had to get to the front door of the house before the.
They went out the back door.
Did they go out the back door? Okay.
Yeah, because he was in the kitchen when he lit the house on fire.
Yeah.
The effing cats that ate Paul. Spoiler, if you haven't read that part, you shouldn't be watching.
I still like my cat.
Yeah. It's the only podcast we tell you not to watch. Patches definitely did. And if you read the Riley, the book of Riley, you realize Patches is kind of a badass. But we'll get into all of those. But what
Gary doesn't make an appearance in any of those series, does he? I mean, he's talked about. But he doesn't actually make an appearance.
He talks about him, but he's not in them. He's not in the Lycan series. In flashbacks,
Long dead
that's
for that
about
one.
it.
Yeah.
Right. He's not in Indian Hill. Is he in Indian Hill?
No.
No, he's not.
I think briefly. When Mike goes home, I think they run into him there. But he doesn't have a. Yeah.
In Indian Hill?
Yeah.
Okay.
After he gets out of the ship, he takes a Humvee and goes home.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I guess listening to it 4 times has done nothing for my memory. I forgot
Terrible,
about that.
Chris,
terrible,
remember,
Yeah,
terrible.
Chris remembers everything we don't.
that's why we keep Chris on the
I
show.
listen.
'Cause I can't remember
I listen
shit.
to the books a lot.
So do I, but I mean, you remember things that, yeah. I can listen to the same book but at the same time you do, and you'll remember 3 times as much of it as I do.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Well, I got to be useful, so I can't just be a pretty face.
he
There you
earns
go.
his keep. He earns his
Well,
keep.
by next
without a
month you'll
doubt.
be like ZZ Top, so yeah.
Yeah, how far are you
I
going
hope
with that
so.
beard?
I don't know. Like I said earlier, like it's really hot. Like I feel the heat so much more with this thing.
Mhm.
But I've never had like a full beard before. I've never been able to grow a full beard before, so it's kind of how long can I take it?
Yeah.
I imagine I'll cut it down when the wife starts complaining about it.
Like when
So
you're like, are you gonna finish that chicken that's in your beard right now? Like that kind of thing, you know?
You joke. That's I love fried chicken. I
When you
absolutely love fried chicken.
who doesn't love fried chicken? But when you're bringing it home in your own to-go box unintentionally, that's when it's time to cut the beard there, Chris. You grow it as long as you
Oh,
want,
God.
buddy. Long as you want. I just pulled a long hair like that big off of my earlobe today, and I'm like, son of a bitch. Are you kidding me?
Oh, my wife's
not-
already after me about my nose hairs.
It's not fun getting old, guys.
No,
Not
it's
at all.
Yeah.
So,
I'll be 52 this month, so
I got you beat.
Happy
I was
birthday.
52,
there you go.
52 a month and a day ago. Yeah, happy
Yeah.
birthday.
in my 40s.
The baby.
Doesn't get any easier. So,
I'm not just the baby of my family, the baby of the podcast.
speculation.
Maybe that's why my memory works so well. It's because I'm a decade younger.
There
It's
you go.
Still there. It's still
Yeah.
there. What do we think happens in 25?
Oh God, I don't know.
I
It's a
got
wrap
it.
up, so like,
ahead.
hopefully it ends better than Indian Hill. He ended Indian Hill on a cliffhanger. And I hate
But according to him, he nailed the ending, which I've wholeheartedly disagreed with him numerous times about this.
that so many times. Oh, you can't end something on a cliffhanger and call it a perfect ending. Okay.
Does Mike?
Needs to
Do we
have
think
a-
Mike dies at the end of this?
No,
No.
because he's been trying to link Lycan Fallout with the zombie Fallout for so long. Because that's how the stories of Mac and Wilkes come in.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah, but it's on
Yeah.
different timelines.
Yeah, because you got to
So right-
remember in this timeline, him and Tommy are against each other. So
And they go to. So we know they're definitely going to go to, which we haven't had a chance to talk about yet. American Stonehenge, which
Mhm.
me
Which
and
you
the
went to.
missus ended up going to up in Salem, New Hampshire, which
I
is a
watched the
pretty
video
cool.
today.
Yeah, there's a video up on our YouTube page. Go to the Chronicles of Michael Talbot YouTube page. It's a full 6-7 minute walkthrough of the actual Stonehenge place. They got a little bit of the woods around the area that they're like, oh, we found an arrowhead here and we found a thing here. But if you get to the actual stone creation, like the huts that they made
Mhm.
to do stuff, it's pretty friggin' cool. There's one of them that's like where they slept. And you think of how small people must have been then, because they piled all these stones on top of one another. You could walk through it. It's a house, but it's more like a maze. It's like little hallways. But on there's an interactive app that has numbers, and in each one of the caves, there's numbers on them. And if you look at that number, it tells you what that is. And one of them was where a small person or child could crawl in and sleep and stay dry from the rain. And you look in on it, and I'm like, my 13-year-old couldn't fit in there, and she's pretty small. It's like tiny to get through. Mary didn't walk through it because she did through it once, but a lot of the other stuff you get it because it's tight.
I saw
to get in
that
there.
like the one you went into, the doorway was so skinny.
Yeah.
It was tall, but it was really skinny. And I saw it almost looked like you stuck your arm in there with the camera. to like look around because it.
Yeah.
So
There is something there. It was toward the end. It's just a big slab rock. It's called the sacrificial table,
mhm.
and it's just a giant rock. And they've had to fence it off because a holes were just climbing on top of it, doing all stupid shit because that's what a holes do.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I have a feeling something like
it's
that
a
is going to
sacrificial
play.
rock. They could just start sacrificing them. That would keep assholes off.
Very true. I think that's going to play in the new book with Mike and Tommy. I have
Yeah.
a feeling when I saw the thing and said sacrificial rock, I just think Tommy's going to do something with that particular set. Excuse
Mhm.
me, at Stonehenge. I have no idea. I have no inner knowledge of anything. Um, so that's my guess, my wild and crazy guess. How
Well,
do you
is
got?
it because he kill what was it, Dallas?
Dallas. He
Didn't he
kills
kill?
Yeah.
Dallas.
He killed her like
Yeah.
right away, doesn't he actually? Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like she got dragged there to be sacrificed at the altar there.
So who
You know,
is
maybe
he
that's
dragging
where
there? And why
maybe
is he
Mike.
going there? Is the
Mike.
question.
He's going there to lure Mike there because
Mhm.
he believes that if he gets Mike there, he'll be able to cross over and get his sister,
Mhm.
Eliza.
Do you
That's
think he works
that's
and Eliza comes back?
no.
I don't think it's gonna work. I think Mike's gonna end up, killing him at the sacrificial stone or something in that.
Could be.
I have a feeling this is gonna be the
I
one where
haven't
Tommy's gonna go.
I think
I
this
haven't hit
Tommy's going to go.
24 yet, but I thought he did.
No,
I
he
thought-
didn't kill Mike. No, Tommy's still alive. At the end of 24, spoilers, is
Yeah.
Tommy telling Mike, meet me at American Stonehenge if you dare, or some crazy
Yeah.
shit like that.
You're thinking of at one point he does cross over and Mike goes to hell, and
That's in
Tommy
Demon.
was going after Eliza and stuff like that.
Demon and
Yeah,
Lincoln
that's
Fallout.
Demon Fallout. Yeah,
That's
that's
Demon
Demon
Fallout, yeah.
Fallout in Lincoln. I thought in 24 Tommy killed Mike when they were fighting, and Eliza killed Tommy.
No,
I'll read it next. I'll get to it next week. I'll read it then. I'll message you guys.
no. Mike hasn't died, I think, since the early beginnings of the series. I mean, it was like every
Mhm.
book, Mike dies, then gets brought back, or something happens with him. But he
Because
hasn't
he had
died.
the fire, the arrow.
Yep.
Didn't he get shot at 1.2?
Yeah, with an arrow by Durgan.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
hasn't
well,
died
yeah,
in
we
a- he hasn't
yeah.
died in a long time. Mike's due
Yeah.
for a good death
yeah.
and a resurrection. But who the hell knows?
I could see Mike and Tommy getting into it and Mike draining Tommy. Going vamp and draining Tommy.
He
I
might
think
get
that'd
he
go
does.
full vamp in a while.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he does.
What was it, Africa?
Something like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, when they were fighting the Ufidi, like
Doofies.
a couple days ago. Yeah, he. I think that's the first monster that Mike truly drained.
Mm-hmm.
Because he needed the
Was
strength.
the Ufidi?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause they were
Mhm.
kicking his ass because he
Mhm.
was one made blood.
Well, they're Supergirl is,
Yeah,
gorillas
I
themselves will
know.
kick your ass, but a Supergirl,
Well, wasn't
forget about it.
Was it in 23 or 24 that Tommy was the last time Tommy went full vamp was when they were coming back up from South America and that he gets shot and he's really weak and the guy who had shot him when they take him prisoner, Tommy feeds on him.
Well, Tommy feeds in 23.
I want to say that
23,
was 23.
after his
yeah.
fight with Pharaohs.
Oh, okay.
So
Did he? I remember the part that Jason's talking about. He does feed off that guy. I thought that was in 24. Was that in 23?
I
it's
can't
23.
remember.
Tommy isn't in 24 except at the end on the
Okay.
alternate timeline. See, this is the thing. There's an alternate timeline. And then
Yeah.
Mike, Third just said 23 as well in the chat. In the that Mark posted the page that his phone miraculously took a snapshot of and posted to Facebook by accident. It starts with a character called Martha Talbot. Way back when, that
Mhm.
was a huge beast of a woman, and I only half read what that thing was because I had the attention span of a 6-year-old. So I made the stupid off-color joke of it sounds like some
Okay.
fan fiction that Mike and BT had a love child, and Mark's like, that's what you got from that. I'm like, no, I'm a dummy. I got a stupid boy brain, and that's how I think. And then I finally went back and I read the whole thing, and I went, oh yeah, I sounded like an asshole. Great, you know. But
Well,
yeah, the
that's the
books.
other day when Chris posted the thing about cowboys and aliens, and I posted back the link for it, and then he's like, "Well, thanks everybody," and then I reread it, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like completely.
Which is a good
You
movie. I
you
just
have
recently watched that again.
I literally had my dad was over and we were sitting down, we were talking about Western movies because he loves Westerns. And I
Yeah.
said my two favorite Westerns are Tombstone, and
Mhm.
anyone can disagree with me, but you're wrong.
No,
And
Tombstone's
Cowboys
awesome.
versus Aliens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are my two favorite out of all the Westerns, my two favorite. And my dad and my wife were like, that's not a Western movie, that's a sci-fi movie. I'm like, it takes place in the Wild West.
It's a sci-fi western.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Well, and that's what IMDb says. It says
Yeah.
Western / sci-fi. So
Yeah. If you ever watched
Ah,
the Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. back in the
mhm.
90s, it
Yep.
was a sci-fi western,
Mhm.
which was, some of Bruce Campbell's best work, and I absolutely love that series. If you have a chance to watch, I think it's on Amazon.
Yeah.
Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But sidetracked on that one. But yeah, Cowboys versus Aliens is definitely a western. Tell your dad that we said it was a western, so now it's official.
oh, I did.
No,
I absolutely will. So I don't mind rubbing that in his face.
of course not. What do we think happens with Gary in the new book? Seeing as we are talking about Gary,
I hope
because I'm
him
stoked
and the
as to what the hell
Major
he's gonna
have a
do.
baby. So
You think love child?
I hope so.
Hmm?
You gotta carry on the Gary legacy.
That is true. That is true.
Or
When
at
the other
least gets
Garys
married.
weren't around.
You know, maybe they decide to get married. Who knows?
That the shit's just gonna hit the fan. Do we think the shit hits the fan in this one? Like totally just goes off the rails? Or does the wormhole open up and everybody just gets absorbed into it?
I think the part with Mike and Tommy, that's going to be where the shit's going to hit the fan, and
Mhm.
that version. So
What if the world just like randomly gets reset, like from the Whistler series?
It could.
Like right at the end, his
Mhm.
final words are, "And Trip came in and reset the world," and that's how the book
There's a
ends.
shimmer that comes through.
Yes.
That does it.
Trip pops in from nowhere and stops Tommy and Mike from fighting.
Yeah. I'm
I
going to
gotta.
go out on a limb right now and say I don't think this is the last Zombie Fallout book. I know he
Yeah.
wants to focus on, he's got to write the new Lycan Fallout. Going to continue with that. I know he's doing
Devil's Desk 3.
Devil's Desk 3, God's Undoing. He wants to
Yeah.
continue on with those. I know he's got 2 sci-fi books that has absolutely nothing to do with the Talbot verse at all that he is doing. If you watch the last or listen to the last interview I did with Mark, he talks about those 2 books that he's working on now. So he's definitely working on new stuff that is not Zombie Fallout. And I think he's got Zombie Fallout Burnout,
Yeah.
which
I
I
mean,
can
25
understand.
bucks. I mean,
That's a
Yeah,
lot. That is
right.
nothing to
Yeah.
frown at all. And if this is the last
But
book of the Zombie Fallout series, I'm okay with it. I know a lot of people will lose their minds and go all, Annie Wilkes on him, killing misery and stuff. But
mhm.
I think it's 25 is a good place to finish it. And if he can stick the landing, air quotes, as Mark likes to put it, and he does it really good, I think I personally will be happy with it. And look forward to Devil's Desk 3 and God's Undoing and whatever else he has coming down the line.
I'm going to look forward to those books regardless, but I don't think it's going to be done. Like, unless he kills off Mike, I don't see it in it, because he's already ended the series, what, 3-4 times?
Something like
This will
that.
be the fifth time he's trying to wrap it off, tie it off.
He ended it in 3, which was the end, and then there was the end is come and gone.
Yeah.
And then I think he did it. I think it went all the way to 16. He ended it.
When did the Lost Journal start? Because I thought 10 was
16.
the end of it. Was it
16
Yeah,
was the
Lost Journals. Yeah.
Because BT leaves and goes
Yeah.
away, and then they find that's when Mac and Wilkes' timeline comes, and they start finding
Right.
the journals. But I think he's kind of gotten off track a little bit with the Lost Journals, where the Lost Journals were the main part of the story, and they were narrating what happened, recapping what happened, and then maybe 2 or 3 books in, the book starts off with what would be the journal, and Mac and Wilkes and Eliza Azil come in after the fact. It's not reading the journals anymore, which is how it started out. It was Mac reading the journals to Wilkes. So it's I don't care. It's kind of taken a little bit of a turn, but I'm happy with that. That's fine by me. I'm not going to be one of those people that's like, you had it this way and it started this and da-da-da-da. It's great no matter what. I'll take, all Mike all the time. But it's definitely taken a different twist. And then this last one in 24, there was I didn't even know, I completely forgot about the whole Wilkes, Mac, Azil, Azil timeline until the very end, where it's a different shift. It's kind of all over the place where the way it works. And you find out, whoa, this is a totally different, the timeline's here. And this one went askew, took a left in Albuquerque, and it's on a totally different path, It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Mark could throw us all for a loop. Who the hell knows?
Well, and so during the Mac and Wilkes timeline, when that is a completely different timeline than even the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Because when Tommy reaches out to Mike in, what is it, book 21 or 22, he talks to him and he's like, I was never on no aircraft carrier. And then he's showing him the journals and he's reading through the journals and he's like, this is fiction. You faked this. And he's like, it's your handwriting. Yeah. Right. So there's
because when Wilkes and Azil bring him the books, he's because Azil said that, this never happened. Where did these come from? And that's where she realizes that they're from another reality, another timeline. So
we will find out soon enough. So
just have what?
And I appreciate you guys throwing in my name to get the first signed limited edition book. Not expecting it at all. I'll be happy just to have it. I'm not one of these guys that's a collector of stuff. I'm not an autograph hound. I'm not, I got a limited edition.
111, baby. 111.
Yeah.
You know which one you're getting?
Yeah. That same post, I reached out to Mark and I was like, what number am I getting? So in that 60 seconds, over 111 people had signed up. I also tried to get one of the damaged covers. So I offered to pay for it. I paid the same price for it.
Oh, yeah, the damaged cover. Who cares? That's one you can bring to the beach with you and you don't give a shit if it gets destroyed.
Exactly.
Copy.
That's what my thought was. One to read, one to frame.
Yeah. Like I told them,
I don't normally
cut the covers off a couple of books and make them interchangeable.
There you go.
Yeah,
I don't normally do autographs, but like the up above me, behind me, there's the top one in the center that's Dawn of the Dead um, poster art, and
Yep.
it's signed by everybody from the original Dawn of the Dead movie.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
I picked that up in Pittsburgh a few weeks ago. So,
At a
and so
convention?
it's got like 33 signatures. It's the directors of Walking Dead and the special effects artists that were all a part of that. They were all part of the original Dawn of the Dead movie, and
Oh, that's cool.
all their signatures are on it.
So you physically got them to sign it with you in front of you?
So no, so the George Romero Foundation
Mm-hmm.
um, did they had them go through and sign 100 copies of the poster.
Oh, okay.
All of the original people had them sign 100 copies of it, and so it comes with like letter of authenticity, and all that stuff came with it, and you know, it was worth it.
Oh, cool.
Something like that. Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorites. One of the original, 78 version. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's actually the one that got me into zombies.
Was it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's one of the first ones I saw. Was Dawn of the Dead, because I think there was the mall. I was just old enough that I was scared, but not scared.
Yeah.
Where the zombies were just blue. They looked like Smurfs on crack, kind of wandering around. It wasn't really the face grotesque makeup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, on a side note,
yes.
what did you think of Mountain Man, Jason?
Mountain Man.
Yeah, I thought you were going to give that series a shot.
When Chris reads suggestions.
Yeah, I think I got that one, and I got one other one. Hold on.
Because I love the Mountain Man series. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's action packed, and it's a good
So,
storyline.
Yeah, so I got the omnibus one, and yeah, so that was the first 3 books. So yeah, I did like it. I did like that one. It literally, the bad thing was that I literally listened to the entire thing in a week, so I had to move on to something else. So now I'm on Infected Dead series. It's not bad, by Bob Roberts or Rob Howard. I'm sorry. Yeah, I've been burning through books so fast lately. It's like with work the way it's been, I've been listening to them books for like 8-9 hours while I'm sitting here at this computer all day. So
I know that feeling.
Been there. Hey, don't forget, if you're looking for something good, Max Archer is out there.
I haven't tried that one yet. I was gonna go try it and see it.
It's different.
I heard the narration was awful.
Yeah, that
yeah,
guy
whoever
sucks.
the guy is.
Or the Raven, The Haunting of Harding, which is a full audio dramatization.
Is it?
Yeah, I busted my hump doing that one. It was awesome,
That's
though.
cool.
I've always wanted to do that.
When are more from the Harrowing series coming out?
What's Harrowing?
Isn't that the short stories you were doing? I thought it was called The Harrowing.
No, it was Raven, The Haunting of Harding was the short book that I did. Oh, The Harrowed Guardian.
Yeah, that
one.
one
You're talking about? I have no idea. I've reached out to that author, and he hasn't gotten back to me, so I don't know if he's writing those again or what the deal is with it. So,
okay. See, I follow you.
Oh shit! I did him for free. I get paid like 20 cents every time that book gets downloaded, or something like that. So
I mean, I can download and re-download a few dozen times.
They're only like $2, like $2.99 or whatever. If you go to my website, jeffroids.com, it's on my audiobook page. I think I put that up as my first page, as all the audiobooks that I've ended up narrating on there. So,
okay, fans, jeffroids.com.
There you go. Shameless plug. And I just talked to Cleve Silcox the other day, the author that I did Raven and Max Archer with, that he's working on redoing a bunch of his short stories, and he wants me to do what I did with Raven for each short story. So I kind of got my work cut out for me. So it's going to be more full audio dramatizations with sound effects and music and different characters and everything. So, which is a lot of fun to do, but an ass ton of work to do by yourself. So, yeah,
Yeah.
be careful what you wish for, kids, because this is what I wanted, and it's biting me
Yeah,
in the
but
ass.
I mean, it's a. Let's be honest. It's a, when you add the music and stuff, like it feels a lot more realistic. Like you're actually experiencing the book.
Yeah, I didn't. When so I did the narration first, and then I added the sound effects, and then I put the music in last. And when I added the music into it, I had to go back and redo some of the dialogue because it just didn't match up with the intensity of the music and the sound effects. Because I just read it through like a dry run the first time through, so it's it's the first time I've ever done that, so you get used to the process of doing it. So it kind of really gives you a good insight into how, like graphic audio, when they do all these, full audio dramas and things like that, how they do it. It's a lot of work, and there's no director, there's nobody giving me notes on it. It's just me being super critical of myself, which I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to stuff like that. So, but yeah, if you get a chance and you're looking to spend a couple of audio dollars, don't waste your credits on them. Don't say waste your credits, but credits are like $16.99, and you can get these for less than $10 on both of them. Raven, Haunting of Harding, or Max Archer, No Appointment Necessary, which he's writing the second one now, I believe, and he's got me. I'm his Sean Renette. As far as he's concerned, he hasn't used those exact terms, but he said that I'm his guy to do all his narrations. So
That's cool.
Fingers crossed it works out, and then we get into hopefully Parent Plague 3. Mark, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If he wants to do that again for Halloween, again, I have no prior knowledge. I haven't really talked to Mark lately. He's been busy getting new cable installed into his house, apparently, and digging up his mile-long driveway. If we all saw that post, I've been down that driveway. It's a long ass driveway, and for them to drudge a whole cable system up there, they did some serious work to get up there. So
that's crazy to think about because I have a long ass driveway. Like my driveway is probably 2-3 blocks long. I have a long ass driveway.
His driveway's a street, pretty much.
Yeah, you're telling me a mile long, and that's crazy.
I know mine is so long; it's like 22 feet.
Yeah, no, you can't see his house from the road. If you stand at the end of his driveway, you can't see the house. That's how far away it is.
That's fucking terrible.
Yeah. So that must have cost him a pretty penny. So probably going to be another fundraiser book coming out soon.
We got to talk, Mark. And you and I were talking about that horror festival or whatever that's happening up there.
Yeah, the one that's coming out in Marlboro.
Yeah, we got to talk Mark into coming down, and I'll come up.
If you get him convinced, I'll let me know because I'll go.
Yep.
Mark's exact quote when I pitched it to him, I said, "Let's get a booth. We'll split it. We'll do you can do a signing of your books. It'd be a good thing to sign 25. We'll broadcast the podcast live from the booth. We'll do interviews. We'll talk all day and blah, 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 blah. We can do all this. I know people will fly in. It's at a hotel. It's attached. It's detached from a hotel, but it's right part of it. And all of that. And I gave him a hard sell on it. And he said, that sounds like fun for whoever decides to do it. Good luck. To which my reply was, boo, you're no fun. So
I was just going to say, let's just go down and have fun. Let's all just get together and, go to it and walk around.
Yeah,
and
game if
you know let's just crash.
Yeah. So, I mean, he has, I don't think he has any interest in, I think he did one of those before, and I think he has no interest in doing those again. It's probably for him, it's not worth the money. But I think now he's more famous. I really think he would do well at those. I think a lot of people would pay for autographs and stand in line to do this for him. But he's happy with what he does, so we can't argue with that.
So to tell you what those autographs. So at that event that I went to a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
The average actor and like George Romero and stuff like that, they were charging $80
Mm-hmm.
to sign something.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to
Yeah.
have a selfie
Damn.
taken with them and have them sign something, it
Mhm.
was $115. My buddy had 2 things signed and a picture taken with George Romero, and it cost him $150.
You see, that's why I'm getting in with Mark at the ground level. We're not paying that amount.
Yeah.
You get
too
you
cheap.
get the discount. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
God.
could definitely do well at these, but he's got his reasons. I'm not going to
Oh,
push
yeah.
him. You know, we're not going to argue with them.
Yeah.
I mean, if I think people would sign up and come stand in line to come talk to us, I'd rent the booth and we'd do the podcast live from it. But I don't think anybody would be like, who the hell are these
Who are these
idiots?
guys?
You know? The what?
How
The
much is a
Chronicles
booth
of Who?
rental?
Yeah, you know. So, what do you got?
Yeah.
We'll be spectators and just enjoy. I know my daughter's going to Comic-Con. She built a whole. She's a huge Five Nights at Freddy's fan, and she's big
Mhm.
into FNARF, whatever they call it, cosplay. She
Yeah.
built and designed and did her own paper mache suit. So my sister's bringing it to the Comic-Con in Boston this summer, and she wants to dress because some of her other friends are going. It's like, you know, so she's looking forward to it. But I mean, Marlboro's are, you know, it's right down the street. You know, it's her hometown, so who knows if she'll go to that with her mother, or maybe I'll take her if she wants. I don't know. But HorrorCon is. But I looked at some of the guests that are coming. It's like the woman that played in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Yeah, that played, you know, the Simone
Mhm.
from Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Like a couple of minor bit players. Zombie Hooker, the girl that played Zombie. Oh, Frank.
Oh, she was at. Yeah,
And I'm
she was
like,
at.
who is this?
Yeah, she was at the Dawn of the Dead thing.
Was she? I mean, she probably
Yeah.
that's all she does now is just that type of circuit. It would
Oh,
be
yeah.
interesting to go for something like that. I did Comic-Con in Boston once, and we did the Jay and Silent Bob Get Old panel at the end of the night, and it was one of the last Comic-Con Stan Lee was at. But
Mhm.
we didn't stand in line to go see him because it was like $150 to get a picture with him. So we just saw a bunch of other people, but it was fun. But it was fun. It was pretty cool. I dressed up as my my Ted Theodore Logan outfit that I wore to Horror Nights one year. I just had my Van Halen 5150 T-shirt on my vest and
Mhm.
just a big long straight wig, which is hot as hell. So it was fun. I had a good time. But yeah, so that is that's it. Gary's a character. You know him,
Yeah.
you love him, and we hope he does some great shit in 25. You know,
Quick question for you guys: Who
Yes.
do you think introduced who to the rope play? Major Dylan or Gary?
Major Dylan.
You think she's the
Oh,
true
there's
freak?
no hesitation in that. And I think if Amber was on the show, she'd tell you, lesbians do some crazy shit. You know, I see Gary as the sub in that relationship. So
I can agree with that.
So that's my opinion. That's me. I think Major Dylan did the ropes and did all that shit. And Gary was just like, I think he was just so happy to have a woman interested in him, you know, in the lack of options that they have out there that that he just went with whatever she wanted to do.
Yeah.
He went with whatever she wanted to do. So, yeah. So let's
So
figure out when we're going to do this again.
Yeah. And what? Who are we gonna do?
Well, I
Timothy.
guess the question is because the next show would be what?
August
April
6th.
or August?
August.
August
So-
6th.
The book will be
Are
out.
we doing Tim or are we gonna do 25?
This is going to be a separate podcast for 25. So when the books come out,
Okay.
we'll give it a couple of weeks, and then we'll do a show about it. But the monthly ones will be the character arcs. So
Okay.
if a new book comes out, we'll talk about it on a separate show. So there might be two shows that month.
That's cool.
But I think the next one is we need to talk about Timothy. because that's an interesting character.
My least favorite character.
I think it's everybody's least favorite
Yeah.
character.
He's just my least favorite character. He's just a little too.
My
Little too
wife hates
awkward.
when I say this.
So much in Like and Fallout. Like, he redeemed himself in Like and Fallout. In my
Yeah.
eyes, at least.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
But we can-
he's the
we'll save
clown
that
you
for-
love to hate and hate to love.
Yeah.
You know, my wife
Yeah.
hates when I say that about me, but it's true. You know, love him or hate him. August 6th, join us again. I think we're going to do this over on Facebook next time because we have a lot more interaction on Facebook Live than we do on YouTube Live. I know YouTube's big for podcasts, but I just don't think it's doing it for us on a live setting. So we're going to try it back again. I figured it out. Finally, I got it worked out that we can put it back on Facebook. So we're going to do this next time on Facebook Live. We'll still put the show up on YouTube for our YouTube subscribers that want to, for some strange reason, watch us talk to each other and me yawn and make awkward faces because that's just the way I am. But
Well, they might like to see my drinking habits, so.
and see the progression of Chris's beard. We'll see how
Yeah.
long that thing gets in a month. You never know.
It's gonna be done here.
There you go.
Oh, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Thank you guys for being a part of this. Chronicles of Michael Talbot. If you are new to the show, again, like us on Facebook. We are there. Follow us on YouTube and everything else. So, guys, thank you all very much, and we will talk to you again.
Thanks, guys.
Have
Have a good one.